بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد الصادق وعلى آله أما بعد. Inshallah today we'll be talking about the exits of the letters. And subhanallah, in Arabic we have about 26 letters. Um, but technically there is 28 letters. And we'll talk about it inshallah. Because there is an alif waw maddi and alif waw not maddi. Um, okay, so let's start with what is the exit? What is the exit of the letter? What is the definition of the exit of the letter? In the language, the exit is the place where the letter come out. Simple as that. In the istilah, is the area or the place where the letter come out and it will be distinguished from the other letters. So which means if we say, for example, the letter qaf, we know exactly that's qaf because it's the back of the tongue. We can't mix it up with kaf or ta or kha or ain or any other letter. It should be qaf and only qaf. Okay. Now, how many letters do we have in the Arabic Hija'i letters? 28 28 letters, and among them is Hamza and Ya. They are included as well. So, how many exits do we have? So now this one, it depends. Some books say there is 5 exits. Some books specify 17 exits. We'll go with 5 exits because in 5 categories, let me show you what I mean. So, yep. Okay. Wonderful. This is nice introduction. So those are 5 exits that we need to pay attention to. See, they come out from 17 exits and points, and they grabbed in five locations. Those 5 locations, the first one is called al-Khayshum, which is in the nose area here. The second area called al-Jawf, which is it's exactly after the lips. When you go inside the empty spot, the air that have air in it from the beginning, from the tongue all the way until you stop here. You don't go to the throat. The throat is a different section. Now the throat, al-halq, is basically the throat from the back of the tongue, the last point of the tongue, all the way to the chest area. So that's called a throat from here to here. Now, why do we need to know all of these? In order to know each letter's location by knowing all of these. Now, what else do we have? We have the tongue. We have about 15 or 16 letters come from the tongue itself. So there is a lot of letters on the tongue. What else? We have something called ash-shafatan. Ash-shafatan is the lips. As pretty indicated in the picture right here. Wonderful. Okay. So let's get started. The first exit that we are going to start with, it's called al-jawf. Al-jawf is an empty space in the not the throat. Well, specifically the jawf from the throat, but the empty space all the way and even the mouth. So it's basically the empty space in all of this area from here all the way there. Now, what are the letters that come from the jawf area? Okay. The jawf is only 3 letters, which is alif, waw, and ya, but not normal alif, normal waw, normal ya. Now, alif and ya have 2 different exits. That is important because we need to distinguish between those exits. Now, the 3 exits, the alif, waw, ya letters that we need to focus on is the maddi alif, the maddi waw, the maddi ya. Now, what is the word maddi means? The word mad means we need to stretch it, as we explained in the previous lesson. Stretch it like ooh, e. When you do nothing is touching, right? It's basically you start from here all the way. The air is pushing it, and it makes the sound ah. When you open your mouth this way, when dhamma, you round your lips, ooh, smiling, e. That's called alif waw ya maddi letter. So that's as simple as that. That is the maddi letters. Now let's move on to the second exit or the second point, which has the throat. Now the throat, to be specific, there is 3 areas in the throat. Like they're divided in 3 sections. lower throat, middle, and upper. Now, in the lower throat here, in the lower part of the throat, what do we have? We have hamza and ha. Hamza ha, hamza ha. Those on the low aqsa al-halq, which is the bottom of the throat or the lower part of the throat. In the middle of the throat, what do we have? Ha, ha, ain, hamza ha, lower, ha, ain, middle. On top, we have ghain, kha. Now, it's pretty easy to determine where each letter is located by simply putting your hands. If you put your hands on the higher here, on the upper throat, and say, you will feel the vibration in that area, which means, yes, you are doing it correctly. If you don't hear it correctly, if you don't feel it vibration here, something is wrong. You're probably not saying ha properly, probably saying ha, which is mixing between ha and ha, which is incorrect. We should say ha, go middle, ha, lower, ha. So you would feel the vibration there. And in order to know any letter's exit, just put it in the sukoon mode. And sukoon mode is basically if the letter have a sukoon on it, like ich, il, and so on and so forth. And last two, which is and you would feel it like it's touching right here. I feel it. Yes, that's exactly where the exit of ha and hamza are located. That's all about the throat. And so far we finished the jawf and the throat, both points that has about how many exits? Yeah, we said there is 17 exits. That's good. Okay, let's keep it moving. Now we finished the throat. Now let's move on. Okay, we've talked about all of these. Alhamdulillah, all clear. Okay, let's move on to the tongue. Let me see if it specifies here, the tongue. Oh yeah, it does. Now, the tongue is actually divided in 4 different sections. Now, what are those 4 sections? The tip of the tongue here, the beginning, it's exactly those. This area is called the tip of the tongue. Now, the middle of the tongue and the farthest point of the tongue, or the deep part of the tongue. That's very simple. Now we have one more extra, which is the edges of the tongue, which is going to be only one letter, but it's going to be a very important letter. We got to talk about it, which is bod. Now, just recall, طرف اللسان, which is the tip of the tongue right here, the middle of the tongue, which is exactly in the middle right here, and the deepest part of the tongue, which is right there, and the edges of the tongue, which is here. Now let's go a little bit specific and let's start from the back of the tongue. Now, the qaf sound, the qaf and kaf. Qaf and kaf are located at the back of the tongue. Now, the farthest point of the tongue, if we have the tongue, as you see it right here, the farthest point right here is qaf, qaf. Then if we move a little bit forward, we're going to have kaf. Look, qaf, kaf, qaf, kaf. So qaf is at the farthest point here, qaf, as you notice here in the very wonderful demonstration, kaf is a little forward. Qaf is here, kaf is here. There we go. Qaf, iqqa, iqqa. How would you know? Just put it in the sukoon mode and pronounce it. Iqqa. You'll feel the back of the tongue is rising and touching the ceiling, which is not the ceiling, which is the upper throat, the upper palate. The same thing with kaf. Tongue will rise, will touch the upper palate, and will make the sound ik, ik. Easy. Okay, that is wonderful. The purpose of this, knowing the exits, why do we need to know it? In order to know, if we have a basic understanding on where each letter is located, we will be able to know, to be able to pronounce it easily and clearly. That's the point of reading the Quran. And this lesson, it might be maybe complicated for some people, it might be simple, but it's very important to have to grasp it or to have an idea what we're talking about. Because imagine if you're someone with the literal za, is how can we know the exit of the za as if you don't know where is it located in order to know how to pronounce it, and so on and so forth. So if we move on to the middle of the tongue right here. Now the middle of the tongue, this area right here, see the gray area? That is wonderful demonstration. Now here there is only 3 letters, jim, ya, Sheen. It's combined in one word in Arabic. It says jaish, jaish, jim, ya, sheen. So let's see. Yes, jim, id, id. If you notice, id, the middle of the tongue is rising and touching the upper palate. Id, ish, ish, e, e. Now, even though they have the same exit, but they are totally different. We say id, ish, e. They're totally different exits. Well, technically they're the same exit, but totally different criteria. That's gonna be for the next class, inshallah. We'll talk about the criteria of each letter, which is Sifaat al-Huroof. And that will make them have different shapes. It's like you have, yeah, yeah. We'll talk about it, inshallah, in the next class. Now, what is very interesting because you could make it in so many, not so many, in like 3 different ways in order to pronounce wad. Now, let's look here. This is the tongue, and the tongue will be rising and it will touch the edges of the tongue. Let's go back a little bit here, right here. This blue area will, from the tongue, will rise and will touch the upper teeth. Those teeth, that's gonna touch it, right? Elbow. Now, wad, it's very interesting. And why? Because you could either do it to one side, elb, or elb, the other side, or both of them, elb, elb. It's whatever's working best for you, just use it. There is no specific way of doing it, but as long as you pronounce it properly with one side or the other or both, that should be perfect. Alhamdulillah. So, and it's interesting, the language of Arabic is called the language of Bod because Bod doesn't exist in other languages, which is makes the Arabic is very unique. So, as we mentioned, Bod will touch the side, the edges of the tongue will touch the teeth. That's literally above it. Now, let's move on to the tip of the tongue. That's the only letter on the edges of the tongue, by the way. Now, the tip of the tongue, there is many letters. Now, let's see. The first example here is give us is lam. Lam, if you put it in the sukun mode, we have il. And if you notice, we said il, the tip of the tongue is touching the upper teeth. Il, right? And that's exactly where is the exit of the lam is located, right here. That's the upper teeth. Not specifically on the upper teeth. Il is gonna join the area above the upper teeth, to be exact. It's exactly right there. Il, right here. That's the teeth. Is gonna touch this mina right here. Right. Okay. Wonderful. Now, what about noon? It says taraf al-lisan, which is the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue, okay, for the noon, is gonna touch similar area, similar to the lamb, but not exactly as lamb. Look, il, in. Now, what's gonna be different in this case? Look in the noon, the tongue will be straightforward, right? Touching this area right here. On the other hand, il, the tip will touch either here or here, either way. But it's gonna make the sound lam. Il. Okay. That is wonderful. Now for ra, one of the criteria of ra is tikrar, which is frequent ra's, more than one ra. We should try to avoid frequent ra's because that's not something that we should do in the qira'ah. Like ar-Rahman. No, we should say ar-Rahman. One ra, not more than one, not more than one. So ra, it's interesting because the tongue will actually curve a little and touch the area above the upper teeth. Ra, ir. Okay, that is ra. Now we have after ra very interesting letters. Ta, dal, and ta. They are having the same exit. So see this area here? At the tip of the tongue will touch the upper teeth, specifically those 2 teeth. At, ad, at. The same thing that we mentioned about those 3 letters. They have the same exact exit, but they have different criteria, which makes them unique. The same thing for these. Ta, dal, ta. Now, what about the dal, ta, and va? Which is the same thing. They have the same exit. The tip of the tongue will just be in between the will be in between the teeth. You see, that's the difference. This one will touch the upper teeth only. There's no involvement with the lower teeth. But this one here will be in between. Look, upper, in between. And we'll talk about the criteria because even though they have the same letter, they have the same exit, sorry, but they have different, yes, they have different criteria. Example for criteria, just to have in mind what we're going to be talking about next time, inshallah, that will be vibration. That, it's like the air will slide in. Va is a little thicker. We'll talk about those, inshallah, more and more. All right, moving on to the next part right here. Now here, the letter Sin and Sad. Now, Sin, the tongue will be touching the lower teeth when you say Sin, and the teeth should be aligning with each other this way. Sin. The lower tongue will touch the lower teeth. The tongue will touch the lower teeth. Lower tongue. Sin. Now, what about the side? It's the same thing, but the tongue will be pulled back. Look, that's a tongue. It's gonna touching the lower teeth. Sin, and there's the teeth will be aligning with each other. Now, what happened here is the tongue will be pulled back, and it's gonna make like a curving area for the air to make the whistling sound. Else. That's for the side. Else. What about the za? Is it's like the B sound. Like the buzzing sound. Is okay. They're very close in the exit as well. The same, different criteria. We'll talk about it inshallah more and more. Next time. Okay. Next one here. Now, this letter, which is fa is very unique because it's the only letter will be but the lower lip will be involved in it. Meaning, if the lower lip touches, the lower lip will touch the upper teeth. Those are the only things that should be involved in the letter fa. If lower lip, upper teeth, as you notice right here, lower lip with upper teeth are touching, then push the air out will make the letter fa. Now, moving on to the exit of the lips. Now, the lips, remember we said wow on the jawf letter, right? Which is the maddi wow, but non-maddi wow, basically when the lips are touching, wa. That one it was ooh, wa. See the difference? Okay. غير مادية, that's important, not maddi. Meem, it's very straightforward. Lip should be touching each other. Ma. Meem from the khayshum. What is the khayshum? We said, oh, it's from the nose. It's an area in the nose. This one here. We'll make a sound right here. It's called the ghunna sound, if you remember. If you close your nose when you say meem, and it's shutting down all of a sudden, that means you're doing it properly. Otherwise, that shouldn't be good. With ghunna. Now, ba here. Moving on to the ba. Ba is basically the same as meem, but there is an explosion of the air will push it all of a sudden. Ba. Fast, stronger. Ba. That is ba. That's it. All right, let's see.
I took two things that I
That's okay. I know today is going to be really short, only like 20-25 minutes. If you have any question, just type it down, inshallah. I'll get back to you. That'll be it. Inshallah. If there is any question, you can send me a message or text me on the chat. Okay. Otherwise, we'll stop here, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سلام.